state your name and address and present your plan.
Hey, good morning. My name is Cameron. My address is 7512 Morning Marsh Trail, Panama City Beach, Florida. I appreciate the opportunity this morning. As Will stated, I'm seeking the RO designation from a SFR2. I'll be brief. Basically, what I want to do is build 2 apartment buildings for a total of 48 units. I think it's that ideal spot for CSU housing, convenient to Fort Benning. There's just a need for rental around town in general. Hey, Will, can I throw?
Yeah,
over there?
right over there.
This is a property on Armour Road that has recently gone up, called the Legends at Armour. This is similar to what I'm proposing. It's I think these guys did a fantastic job. And when I say similar to theirs, I just mean more in the building style. I think their property may be a little bit bigger, and they have 4 units out there, or 4 buildings. My next door neighbor is Hidden Lake Condos, which is also zoned RO. So I think I'm following this, I'm being relatively consistent with what's there. There's several other properties on the street that are multifamily. It's just the area has changed. I'm a little bit in the same boat that Mr. Wells was in. Truthfully, there's no market for single-family housing right there, unfortunately. I mean, it's been listed forever. It's a fantastic price for building lots, and I can't get any takers. I'm a builder. I can't make it work. It's just, that's, the market has changed, and that's just, it's just not feasible. As stated, there's some misleading information out there on social media about what I'm wanting to do, and you know, I'm not looking to do any kind of, I know the Hilton project that came up, you know, raised a lot of red flags with people. I'm not looking to do anything like that. I just want to do some nice apartment buildings, and I think there's a need for it. I really believe a majority of the buildings will be housed with CSU students, and I'll leave it there and just answer any questions you guys may have.
Commissioners, any questions? All right. Thanks, sir. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this? Seeing none, are there any that are in opposition to this? We have a lady back here. If you would please come forward and state your name and address.
My name is Nancy Schroeder, 2525 Norris Road, apartment 117, Columbus, Georgia. If I may read a note that I've written. On behalf of the residents of Hidden Lake Condominium Homeowners Association, I am here to file an objection to the requested zoning change to RO. The basis for our objection is that RO appears to allow an extremely high density, maximum high density as high as 43 units per acre. Since the property is being reviewed is 3.59 acres, that could allow a possible 153 units to be built in the future if the current plans don't materialize. Mr. Cameron has stated that he intends to build a maximum of 48 units on the site. We do not object to that proposed plan and actually favor the possibility of responsible development next to our community, as we've had problems with homeless folks camping on the vacant property for the last several years. We do object to the high density of RO and believe that one of the lower density multifamily designations would better suit the neighborhood. If the RO designation does get approved, we request that it be a restriction added to limit the number of units to 48. Hidden Lake Condominiums is clearly a multifamily community. However, our 98 units are mostly privately owned and occupied by the owners. Only 14% of our community is comprised of owners who lease their units on the open market. The other properties near Mr. Cameron's lots are single-family. A low-density, high-quality apartment complex will be more compatible with the neighborhood than a crowded complex with possible businesses as well. My name again is Nancy Schroeder. I am president of the Board of Directors for Hidden Lake.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
So, ma'am, if we were able to put that restriction on, that it would be a 48-unit, no more than 48 units as he's proposed, that would be acceptable to?
Yeah, the only thing I'm curious about, I don't understand when you say RO, what kind of commercial that allows for.
Just offices.
Okay. Yeah, so the 48 apartment units would be acceptable.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak against? And do you have different information?
I do.
Okay. If you would come forward and state your name and address.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Mickey Kay. I'm a relatively new resident on 2722 Barber Avenue. The appeal to Barber Avenue, which abuts the property that we're talking about, is that it's a green space. I moved down here from North Carolina, as you know, one of the most beautiful places in the world, in the area of Western Carolina, where green was very important to us. It's still important to us, which is why we bought where we did on Barber Avenue. I've spoken to every property owner, not renter, property owners, some of them over 50 years. You all know Mr. Adams from Adams Farm. He lives on Barber Avenue. It's going to affect his property. He doesn't want it, and I'm speaking for him. I have a signature of everybody that the property is abutting. The property that exists there today is an indication of where the property is going, or how the property is going to be treated later. It is a dumping ground for people who are doing drugs. If you care about the property you own, take care of it. It's not being taken care of. If he owns this property, he needs to respect the people that his property is abutting. It's very disrespectful. There are people doing drugs right behind our property. This is a neighborhood. This is a neighborhood where people have lived, raised their children, sent them to school. They're invested 50 years, some of them. And they have been disrespected. Somebody from Florida can come up here and just change and make things the way they want to for an investment, but they're not taking care of what's there now. You could sell that property as single family if you cleaned it up. It would be very desirable. Ask us, we live there. It's upsetting to me because it's an abusive situation, and you're allowing an abuser to do something else. We value our neighborhood. It's a beautiful, quiet neighborhood. We'd like to keep it that way. I don't want a two-story building behind me looking into my private backyard. It's a lovely backyard. I've worked hard to make it a home. And every one of you would feel the same way if you knew what I was talking about. Come by, take a look at the lovely homes on Barber Avenue. We are homeowners, and we need to be heard. I don't know what the impact of the schools are. I heard what you said about the impact of the schools and the traffic. I find that difficult to understand. 48 more renters. CSU people are not homeowners. These are kids. They're partiers. We're talking about temporary, transient situation. I don't know what the impact will be on the schools. I don't know what the impact will be on the roads. But I do know right now that the way the roads are constructed, and on North Avenue particularly, or is it North Drive? In particular, I have a Honda Pilot that takes up that full lane. If there's another truck or a vehicle coming the other way, there's no place to go. Those roads need to be fixed. They don't need to be burdened more. We have a city planner that we hire to plan a community. There's a reason we have a city planner. We need to pay attention to what the plan was originally. Why we want to start changing things is because somebody comes in here from Florida and says, I have a better idea to use my property and I can make some money. No, this is a community. This is our home. And we need to protect what we've invested in. Thank you very much. I have
Thank you.
signatures of everyone. If you all need a copy, I'll give it to you.
That's fine, thank you. Commissioners, any questions? All right, do we have anyone else in the audience to speak against this that has different information? Okay. If you would, come forward and state your name and address, please.
My name is Rudolph Kay. I live at 2722 Barbara Avenue. The only thing I want to say is that the property in question, the property behind where I live, there's got to be, some of the trees in that backyard are 200 feet tall. I mean, I've never seen trees this tall in a residential area. And for this project to come in, I know a lot of these trees are going to have to be cut down. You can see over into that property. These trees, there's sweet gum trees, there's oak trees, there's pine trees, and a majority of them are 100 to 200 feet tall. And it would be a shame, and they've got to be a couple 50 to 75 years old. For those trees to come down would be a shame. It would just be a crime. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak against? Is it different information than what we've heard? Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Green.
My name is Lauren Locklear. I live at 2714 Barbara Avenue. It's a double lot, so it's 2714 and 2704. The entirety of my backyard comes up against this lot that's in question for rezoning. The reason that we moved into this area 4 years ago was because it was very similar to where my husband grew up and to the neighborhood where his grandmother lives, which is all single family. She lives in Hilton Heights. His parents live in Mahina Woods. The draw was that it was all single family, and that when we came and saw the neighborhood, we saw people who his parents knew had lived there forever, who his parents had gone to school with. It's an established neighborhood with people who are proud of their yards, who are proud of their homes, and are proud of being a community together. We can stand out in the yard and check the mail, and 5 people will come by or wave and say hello. It was a safe place. I felt like it was somewhere where we could start our own family and have our own traditions similar to what we both grew up with. I'm concerned about it being an apartment complex with 48 units because that changes the whole dynamic of our safe little street where people have moved there because it's single family, because it's just the people that are there, and there's not a lot of renters. Everybody around me are all homeowners. The only place near my house that is a rental right now is across the street, but it has stayed rented full-time with people who are there for the long term. We do not have people that move in and out within a school year. I'm concerned about the fact that it may be college housing. I was a college student, and I'm ashamed to admit I didn't take very good care of the property around me, and I didn't have a lot of respect for it. Our neighborhood right now has a lot of respect for people and their property. We have a very low crime rate, even with what's going on in the back with the drug use and the homelessness. We protect ourselves on our street. I'm concerned about that lot being cleared out. We have a lot of animals that you can hear back there at night. We've heard it talk about the green space, but there's a lot that hasn't been talked about, and it's just the feeling you get on that street. If apartment complexes are built there, people will not come into this area as single family, and this neighborhood that is kind of a hidden gem off of Edgewood will not be the same any longer, and you will not have people wanting to move in when the people who have lived there 50 years, 30 years in the same home no longer are there anymore. The whole neighborhood is going to go downhill, is my concern. And then there's also the concern of safety. Having that many people who are not permanent residents living behind where I am choosing to grow a family, I'm concerned about what kind of element would be moving in. We already know that there are some shootings in some of the college apartment complexes. There was the one off of University near Mahina Woods, where they had the police shooting with people running through there with drugs and everything. So my concern is safety. My concern is the downfall of the neighborhood if this is rezoned. Thank you.
Thank you. Any commissioners, any questions? All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that has any different information? Or make sure that this is different information, please. Thank you. State your name and address, please.
My name is Betty Lewis. I live at 2525 Norris Road, apartment 103. I live in Hidden Lakes, and no one really addressed the traffic patterns. Norris Road, which is where the apartment complex will be built on, intersects Edgewood Drive and Macon Road. Traffic there is horrendous at rush hour and especially during school time. Again, as part of the board, I don't personally object to an apartment complex there, but I would really like to urge you guys to put a limit on how many people could be there. I don't want to see 150 plus units there, because then I'll never get out my driveway, basically. But if we have a limit, if you decide to go ahead and approve this request, then I think that would be very helpful, and that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? All right, Mr. Greenblatt.
I would like to ask Mr. Cameron if he could show his rendition of the complex.
Sir, is there?
How you want to do it?
Hey, if I could just mention a couple of quick things. That I know these rezonings, they're emotional. I get it. I just want you guys to understand, yes, I live in Florida right now. I went for an opportunity for a couple of years. I just moved from Columbus last year. I've been in Columbus for the last 12 years. It was an opportunity for me. I took it. I have every intention of coming back. So I'm not just some guy from Florida that's shown up here to wreak havoc. So
Let me ask two questions. On the west side of the property, which I guess is to your right, what is the size of that buffer between the property line and the parking lot?
Truthfully, it's over 50 feet. I'll say that. It's over 50 feet. I hate to say I'm not sure of the exact number, but it's at least 50 feet.
All right, and Mr. Johnson, can you tell me what the elevation change is from the parking lot down toward Barbara Avenue?
The parking lot to Barbara's anywhere from, we're talking about the back parking lot.
The
on
back,
side.
the west parking lot, yes.
West side.
That's the lower ground. It's about a 5-foot elevation difference there.
Okay.
but it's 20 to 30 from Norris.
Gotcha. All right, so it continually slopes
It continually slopes
to
down.
the west?
Mhm.
Okay. All right,
It's just like, Shrine Club's at the bottom.
right.
Norris is middle, Tip Top is Tip Top, so.
I just visually, when I went by there, I couldn't see that elevation change because, you can't get from one point to the other and see the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's heavily wooded, so even if you go
Right.
down Barbara, you can't. You
can't see.
The gentleman said about the trees, you can't
Right.
see Norris Road or anything from Barbara because of the elevation and the heavy vegetation.
Right, okay. Thank you very much.
If I could I mention a couple other things? Hey, I'm a renter, so I don't feel like a transient, okay? So I don't like that term. There's nothing wrong with renting property. I think that's truthfully, I think that's a little bit more of the future, that the home ownership is just it's gonna drop over time. And so, and me as a renter, hey, I still take care of my property. I apologize to the residents. I did not know that there were homeless people on this property. When I found out.
Okay.
When I found out, when somebody called me from Hidden Lakes, I immediately called the police. I have never received a call from a police officer, ever. There was a former police officer at Hidden Lakes. He called me. That's the day I made the call because he couldn't do anything about it. So I don't want drug users on my property in their backyard. I don't want that either. It's just, I don't know. I just want to throw that out there. That
Thank you.
it's just, hey, last thing. I am perfectly fine with putting a condition that it can only be 48 units also. I'm trying to be transparent. No, I'm not trying to hide anything, get this through and then, build 150 units. This is my plan, 48 units. So
Thank
I'm
you.
okay with that condition.
All right, is there still anyone in the audience that would like to speak against this that has different information than what we've already heard? We've heard some repetition. Okay, if you would come to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Tom Lohman, 2714 Barber Avenue. I just had a quick question on the garbage area. I know 48 units produces a lot of garbage, and typically the dumpster units are typically in the back. I'm sorry.
Step up.
We need to hear
Oh,
this
step
on
up
the
to the mic. I'm
microphone,
sorry.
please.
Typically, the garbage units are in the rear of the property, correct? Most residential. I don't see the garbage units listed on here.
It looks,
It's just early, truthfully. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you, but it's just early on the concept.
Sure.
Of,
That's fine. Our back
But we will
door,
take that into consideration.
sure. Our back door is 20 feet from the property line. So having a garbage unit 20 feet beyond that, it's probably not going to be, just not going to work for us. I don't want to put down anything at Hidden Lakes or anything like that, but their garbage unit stinks sometimes, and we can smell it from our property. And we would prefer not to have another garbage unit that close to our back door. And that's the back door that we use every day. So that's the only question I had.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else with different information? We've heard a lot of repetition. I need you to make sure this is something that hasn't already been presented. This lady in the back, if you would, please come up, give your name and address. And please only address new information.
Good morning. My name is Francesca Panto, and I live at 2806 Barbara Avenue. I think one of the main things that hasn't been addressed is the schools. I know we talked about it would impact the schools because they may or may not be college students, which isn't guaranteed. There's dozens of children that walk up Edgewood and down Norris from school. Increasing traffic would be extremely unsafe for these children, especially given there's not adequate sidewalks anyhow. So I'd like that to be taken into consideration. I don't think it's necessary to have any sort of apartment complex, especially geared towards CSU students, seeing as how they have ample amount of housing. And his example was a new apartment complex on Armour Road, which is very close to CSU. So I don't think that's necessary either. With the statement about no one's buying single-family homes, we're technically considered the Midtown area, kind of on the outskirts. Houses in Midtown are going so quick that they're only on the market for a week. So I find that hard to believe that single-family homes wouldn't sell in that area. And they're actually looking for homes under the $200,000 range. So as a developer, why would you not just build homes there and then sell them? It is in my backyard, little catty corner to where the lots are. It would be an extreme disruption to have the development even built, let alone exist. Norris Road's a 2-lane road. You would have to block off that road, which is a major throughway to Macon Road to the highway, for people to even get that where they need to go just to build these. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions, commissioners? All right, thank you. Is there anyone else with different, are you certain this is different information? Because I keep hearing the same things over and over, which I appreciate that, but if you would state your name and address.
My name is Barbara Corzan. I live at 2700 Barbara Avenue, and this property is right behind my house. And aside from the fact that I love woods, already they've cleared some of that area, and I can actually see cars going back and forth down Norris Road already. You've heard that before. But you haven't heard that Barbara Avenue area is a dead-end area. We can only get out of Barbara Avenue onto Edgewood Road, and then East Lindsay Drive onto Edgewood Road. So it's already very difficult for us to get out, especially on school mornings, because cars are going both directions on Edgewood Road. You add a lot more cars going and people taking children to school, it will be impossible to get out of our street. My other objection is that in looking at this plat, let's see, which side is Barbara Avenue? This side over here? This side? Oh. How can you build it that way if that's Barbara Avenue? That's not right. Barbara Avenue is going to be either this one or this one.
That's it.
Well, anyway, I don't see, I see very little green space. And we enjoy our backyard. I do a lot of gardening, and I do not want my backyard to be looked down upon by high-rise apartment buildings. But aside from that, my backyard would abut this apartment complex, and I can just envision students going through my yard to get a shortcut to Clubview and Richards, which has happened before. And so I really object on that grounds. We have a wonderful neighborhood. We have lived in our house since 1970. So please don't mess up our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Okay. All of this has been very repetitive, so if anyone else wants to speak in opposition, it needs to be absolutely something that has not already been brought forward. Yes, if you would please come forward. I heard a promise.
Good morning. My name is Jane McCamey. I'm at 2746 Barbara Avenue. I sent an email to Mr. Johnson's office, and I believe he got a copy to you.
That was
So
forwarded, yes.
I won't go over that, but I want to just reiterate, no reiterations. I don't think it's been said out loud here this morning. I'm worried about the elevation of the proposed zoning area versus us downhill. Once you take out vegetation, big trees, the wash already comes down pretty substantially during heavy rains. We have soggy backyards already. So that worries me. And I would hope that you would take that into consideration when you decide.
Well, Mr. Johnson, I believe the plan would require drainage.
The way the
conditions
drainage
there.
plan works is he cannot dump any additional water on there.
Right.
And one more thing. On the sketch here, it looks like they have very gratuitously offered to use our backyards as their buffers, since the parking lot seems to come almost to the end of the lots there.
Mr. Johnson, can you address that? The buffer is from the property line, correct?
Buffers from the property line on his property. I mean, that's primarily what he's buffering. To the south, again, is Hidden Lakes, and to the north is more vacant property on Norris Road. So most of what you see is the buffer. Now, this is a site plan.
Right.
It's not anything that's gone any further than this process yet.
I don't have anything else.
All right.
Any questions for me?
Commissioners, any questions? All right, for all of those that are in the audience, I want to make sure you understand, we do respect your opinion, so the commissioners can get a count of all those that are in opposition to this. Would you just raise your hand, please? Okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, any other discussion?
I do have a question for Mr. Johnson. By right, if he, consolidated all these properties, what could he do by right with SFR2 and no rezoning? How dense could he build single family?
Each lot has to be 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
If you put a road in, it's got to be a 60-foot right-of-way, and a cul-de-sac, which really wipes out the SFR2. And of course, you could go for something denser, such as a 3 or a 4. But as far as running, 50-foot lots off of Norris, Eddie Houston came a few years ago and did that, got a variance to have 2 50-foot lots, and I don't know if his focus is in Harris County right now, but they're still sitting there vacant, so that's been done in the past. So it's not been unheard of in this immediate area.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other discussion, questions? All right, you'd have to come back up to the microphone again, please. Restate your name and address.
My name is Barbara Corzan. I live at 2700 Barbara Avenue, directly behind this property. And I didn't think until Jane mentioned the drainage, but right between our property and Lauren's property is a drainage ditch that Mr. Underhill, who used to own that property, had dug to drain. He used to have a scuppernong arbor back there, orchard, whatever you call it. And it drained water from that, which comes down when heavy rains, gets really high, and it goes into the sewer right on the edge of our property. So if they're putting this apartment complex back there with all this pavement, where is this water going to go? It can't, that ditch can't hold any more.
I think as Mr. Johnson mentioned, they cannot dump any additional water, so that would be part of the plan.
He'd have to
This is
provide
serious.
on-site detention pond.
Our house is pretty close to this ditch, and we'd be flooded. Thank
The
you.
development of the property would not allow any additional drainage.
I don't know how they could keep it from draining.
Well, there's multiple ways. There's detention ponds, there's different routing of sewage. I mean, there's ways they can accommodate that, but he would have to accommodate that as part of his plan.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, any other questions, commissioners, discussion points? Do I hear a motion? Do we need additional discussion before there's a motion?
Well, if there is no motion, doesn't the action just dies?
Correct.
What does that mean?
Oh, Lord, let's see here.
That would mean that no action was taken by this committee. We're checking right now.
All right, for the sake of making it clear whether something's going to happen or not, I'm going to make a motion for discussion, and then we can vote on it one way or the other. I move that in the case of REZN 06-19-5904, request to rezone 3.59 acres located along Norris Road from SFR2 to RO. I move that we approve it, but with the condition that there is a 60-foot buffer on the west side, undisturbed 60-foot buffer, and a limit of 48 units.
Do I hear a second on that motion with those restrictions? All right, thank you, Mr. Greenblatt. All in favor by raising your right hand? All opposed? All right.
I need a counter motion. If you're going to, I mean, it's just a failure right now. I mean,
As it relates to matter REZN 06-19-5904, a request to rezone 3.59 acres of land located at 2243, 2705, 2713 Norris Road. I move that the request be denied as presented to the planning department.
Mr. Johnson, I believe the first motion carried as being not approved, so I don't know that the motion of order would be to go to another.
well, let me see, because I'm substituting, so.
But your motion is contrary to the previous motion that was already voted on. Well, my concern is the legality of having another motion and counter to the previous motion.
City council, city council, city council.
So, Mr. Johnson, my understanding of this motion and the vote was that it be denied.
Okay. I'm just, everything I'm pulling up is council, council, council. All right, failure, let's see here. Approval of motion. Failure of a motion to approve. Okay, you're correct. It's automatically recommended for denial. So there
Right.
was no need for a,
That-
it's just a 5-2.
5-2.
2-5 for denial.
Correct.
So, Mr. Chairman, I officially withdraw my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. All right. Is there any other business needs to be conducted?
There is, oh, are we still on this?
It will, the recommendation going to the Planning Commission and to the City Council is for denial.
Under new business, there's no meeting scheduled for August 7th. The next meeting is scheduled for August 21st, 2019. Also, and it's not listed on here, I think everybody here staff-wise, including Mike and Bruce, have a conflict on October 16th. So we were going to ask you all if we could move that meeting to October 23rd if it ends up being necessary.
Okay. I would recommend you poll each of the commissioners and make sure there'd be a quorum, but I don't have a problem with you
Okay,
doing
I've
that.
heard from you, and
I know you-
now I'm hearing from Mike.
I will
so
not be here the
I got
23rd.
I got two.
And
so-
Mr. Brandon said he will be here.
Okay. All right, so we just need to get it to clerk of council as soon as possible, so if y'all will just shoot me an email letting me know if you can be on the 23rd or not.